But when you think about the fact that we've hit, I believe, over 12 new record all-time highs this year alone, that we've taken out 2,000 and 3,000 so quickly and at such a massive momentum, that there's something different about this rally than all of the other prior rallies. Not that they all don't have distinctions. I believe that even though there's only a 1% probability that the Fed will cut rates tomorrow, and the reason I believe that is it would allow the Fed to get ahead of what we all know is going to be rising inflation.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're supposed to say, well, it might increase our inflation. We already know.
The stock market has reached over 12 record all-time highs this year, with unprecedented momentum rapidly surpassing key milestones like 2,000 and 3,000. This rally appears distinct from previous ones. They may act preemptively despite only a 1% probability of a Fed rate cut immediately. Cutting rates now could help the Fed stay ahead of anticipated rising inflation, which is expected to remain persistently high. The Federal Reserve recently maintained its benchmark interest rate at 4.25% to 4.50% during its March 2025 meeting. Gary Wagner, a seasoned market analyst and expert in technical analysis, highlights that the current administration's broad tariff policies have strained relationships with allies and rivals, increasing costs for consumers in the U.S., Canada, and beyond. While tariffs generate government revenue, they disproportionately burden ordinary citizens while benefiting the wealthy. Concerns over Fort Knox's gold reserves also persist, with calls for a long-overdue audit to verify holdings. Previous audit attempts were met with limited access, raising suspicions. Additionally, the valuation of gold on balance sheets remains unrealistically low, sparking questions about why it isn't adjusted to reflect its actual market value. Revaluing the gold reserves to reflect market prices could add approximately $750 billion to the U.S. Treasury's balance sheet. A transparent audit could dispel conspiracy theories and clarify the nation's financial standing. We present the clip of Gary's latest video. Before we continue to discuss this, please subscribe to our channel and activate the bell icon for timely updates.
We have an administration that has taken our allies and our enemies and decided to impose tariffs on all of them, so that not only are citizens in the US and Canada upset that we're paying more for goods, Canada's upset at us, we're upset at Mexico. He's turned allies against each other. And here's the thing, who benefits off of tariffs? I'm going to stretch a wild guess and say, not the consumer. That would rather see income come in that's taxed in a different way. Blunt of the obligation doesn't fall on these mega millionaires or billionaires. Oh, and guess what? The president is quite wealthy. So I think that it actually benefits him in that his whole idea about bringing taxes down cannot be done without having an additional revenue stream. Well, he's pretty much figured out an additional revenue stream by taxing 25% to Canada and Mexico, 20% to China. And so it's reciprocal. So citizens everywhere are getting beat up. The only ones that are not are those that aren't concerned about the cost of bread, the cost of milk.
Yeah.
And so that's why I believe this is a unique scenario right now. The second thing is the whole question about Fort Knox, but I don't even want to go into that. All I want to say is I pray there actually is gold. If there isn't, that's going to be a nightmare scenario. But the main reason is the way our administration is imposing tariffs. Well, there's two questions there. One regarding Elon Musk and Doge, and the other one regarding actually auditing Fort Knox. I think it's well overdue to audit Fort Knox.
Yeah.
It should happen on an annual, not an annual, but a regular basis every 5 or 10 years. Every time, or the last few times, different politicians attempted to do an audit. Fort Knox holds a lot of gold, not only the United States, but other major countries. The same with the Federal Reserve Bank, especially Federal Reserve Bank of New York holds a vast majority. And in fact, there was a skirmish where the Germans wanted to get their gold that had been sitting in the New York Fed for a while, and it
Right.
took them quite some time. The key is this: if they can do an audit and the gold that they claim to be there is there, it is how it should be. I can't conceive that they would have sold off big chunks of our assets, the one of the greatest assets we have, and still run a deficit. It doesn't make logical sense, but then politics typically don't follow the rule of logic. I find really intriguing is why are they still maintaining the costs in terms of how it's on their balance sheets at a price that is completely unrealistic, whether it's $20 or $40 an ounce. And why don't they recalibrate it so that the gold that we have is represented at $3,000 an ounce, not under 100? It makes zero sense to me. It's a quandary to me why they would prefer to do it that way. But it's above my pay grade anyways. But it seems strange because it logically, you would think that that would benefit everyone to recalibrate our assets in terms of its real value. It's not a far-flung question or request to do, is to have our assets be valued at actually what they're worth. First, let's get them in there and let's put all the conspiracy theories to rest and see that there is the gold. The problem with a conspiracy theory is sometimes they are true. I'll leave it there.
The combination of record-breaking stock market highs, persistent inflation risks, controversial tariff policies, and concerns over gold reserves underscores the need for greater transparency and strategic economic planning. As uncertainties loom, proactively addressing these issues could help restore confidence in financial markets and government policies. How would a revaluation of gold reserves impact the U.S. economy and financial markets? What potential consequences could arise if tariffs continue to escalate trade tensions with key allies? Share your feedback in the comments below. If you found this helpful video, hit the thumbs up and subscribe to keep up with our latest updates.